Hey, and welcome back to Soaring Profits. As usual, I have Wi-Fi problems. I don't know why. I'm in my house and it's just not working. But anyway, you guys all know well because we've had him on twice. The wonderful Ross, former DJ, market business entrepreneur, smart. Well, this is his other son, Brad.
Smart.
Sorry, smartest,
Yeah.
smart, handsome.
All the
butter,
adjectives.
butter voice, smooth as silk.
Yeah.
This is the great Chad Campbell. He obviously was born of his dad Ross. I don't know his mother's name, but I'm sure Sylvia.
Yeah.
So Ross and Sylvia. He went to Carleton for journalism, and then Michigan State for advertising, and then he ended up, of all things, and it is relevant when you're thinking about marketing, psychology is very relevant. He ended up with a psychology degree at Mac. Then he did some other things, but he ended up at Capitol Records, of all places, in the A&R department. And he has a claim to fame there, but I'm going to let him explain what his claim to fame there is. And then, the impression I got anyway, he wasn't like really feeling that was the place he wanted to be. So he ended up forming a band called North of Hollywood. Came close to becoming super famous, but didn't quite get there as the front man of North of Hollywood. So he once again decided to relook at things and came back to Canada and met the lovely Monica, who is now his current wife, fell in love, and the rest is history. And together they had a passion for food. And they were cooking, and they did a couple of things, and they were on a family, they were going to a family occasion, and they were going to make these taco shells, and they ended up buying the wrong ingredients. And I'm going to let you tell that story too, because that's another story where when you think things go wrong, they really go right. Then because of that, finding out that they had this great taco recipe, they ended up buying a food trailer. Unfortunately, as things go and adversity happens, although the food trailer they were hoping was wonderful turned out to be not so wonderful, and found out that it would cost them $12,000 before they even sold the taco to get it up to a health recommendation shape. So they ditched that and moved on to a second food trailer where unfortunately, again, it was one of those things where they had to do some renovations that were taking a very long time to do. And as anyone in business knows, if you're doing more renovations than you're bringing in money, and if you can't bring in any money, it's one of those things you can't keep on going. And so they decided not to, and ended up losing their deposit. Finally, they found a food trailer, a food truck that was perfect for their needs. They were able to get up and running this year, I believe, and they have started this wonderful business called North of the Border Tacos. And he's just a delight. We've been talking to him before on screen here, like we always do, and much like his father, he knows how to wind a story, and I'm looking forward to you all meeting him. Now, what I want to get into, Chad, because like this is what interests me. Like you went through, like here you go, you have a dream, you have a goal, you have a mission, and it seems like the world is going, nope, you're not allowed to do that. Three times you went up to bat. 3 times you put everything, your heart, your soul, you and your wife. 3 times you were hit down. So, like, how do you overcome that? Like, can you tell us the story about like those 3 occasions when you were like, oh my God, like you just stop, right?
Yeah. We found this trailer. The first trailer we got was like 1968 Shamrock. It was a old camper trailer that was converted over to a fish and chip truck. And we went and saw it, and they didn't even know how much they wanted to charge us for it. We basically had to come up with a price. We were like, I don't know, $900 sound good? Right. I was like, sure. And we're like, all right. And that was right at the beginning of the pandemic when we had our first lockdowns. And Monica and I spent probably 2 months inside of it, cleaning like inches of grease off of the floor and the walls, and the fryers were like, the guy never cleaned the fryers ever.
Oh.
It was ridiculous. We bought a steamer and we cleaned the thing. It was so nice. We thought, oh, this is gonna be fantastic. Let's get somebody to look at it and see what we're gonna have to do to get it operational. And then they were like $12,000, and I didn't know if the frame was gonna last for more than a year. So to put that kind of money into that was just didn't make sense. Right.
Let's pull this up, Chad. I got a picture of it here. And this is the beauty now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our new one there. And it's where I am right now. And we're really happy with the way that it's turned out. And the guy that did our wrap at Rev Graphics, I'm just so happy with the way that he took our idea of, the fading colors, and we're just super excited.
So in light of this, interview this evening, I figured that I should have some tacos for dinner. So if you can smell that on me, I apologize. However, I understand that there is a fantastic story about how you came to get into the taco business and have this very specialized taco. Now, your dad tells it with great pride. I wonder what his kind of influence in that whole process was, but let's hear what you've got there.
Well, the recipe for the shell actually came from my brother's sister.
Right.
My Aunt Eveline, who got the recipe given to her by a lady in Arizona who I think she was tutoring the lady's kids for English, and just gave it to her like 40 years ago. And my mom had the recipe probably for 35 years sitting in her recipe book. And Monica and I went up. We were so excited that we'd come up with this recipe for making, handcrafted. At the time, they were just corn tortillas. And so we were super excited. And we bought the wrong stuff when we went to the grocery store in Barrie on the way up to the cottage. Yeah. And we get up there and we don't have the right stuff. I guess we can't do it. Mom's like, oh, no, hold on a second. I've got a recipe. Maybe this is what we need for this. And we had all the right stuff for Aunt Eveline's tacos. And this is what the tacos, this is our handcrafted shell. See if you can see it.
Nice. Yeah.
Perfect.
So it's none of them, not two look the same, right? Yeah. They're a hybrid shell. So it's corn and flour. But other than that, I can't say much more else. My wife will come over and beat me up.
I have heard that at any point you could be assassinated during
Yeah. The beauty of these shells is that what we've done is we've solved the age-old problem of, when you bite into your hard shell taco, that it breaks into a million pieces with the first bite. This shell has solved that problem, and I can't imagine how we aren't going to get some real excitement about that.
I love that.
I haven't been about it already.
As a guy who does love a good taco, i.e. this evening, I always eat soft shell tacos for that exact process.
Right.
You just don't want to have it all over you. So you're telling me that you have solved this? Like this?
I have. Absolutely, 100%. It's got a bit of crunch. It's crunchy, but it is also soft enough that it stays together when you bite into it. And that's that's the selling point. That's why we have a food truck right now. It's because of these shells. That's it. And not everybody wants them.
Right.
And that's good because they take a long time to make, and they're a bit more expensive because we also sell soft shells and we sell hard shells, just because not everybody wants to try new foods. And so you would limit your market. If all you were going to do is go out and sell these, well, we'd be sitting here, with no lineups. So we try to give everybody something, but if you want something special that you can only have here, you try one of these shells. And we've done pretty well.
So you opened up because of everything was COVID. This whole thing kind of came out of the necessity of COVID, right?
Yeah.
You had no ambitions of being the taco king. You had no ambitions to take over the taco universe.
No, the taco empire came just from cleaning the trucks. The first one we bought, and then as you do that and you get into it, and also I work in construction, and long days in the snow. I run a hydrovac truck, so I'm constantly being pelted in the face by rocks.
Right.
And there's some days where I'm like, there's got to be something better to do than this. Like, oh, tacos. Oh, that sounds better than this. So let's try that. So,
yeah.
Well, again, the profiteers that follow us, right? So James tends to be a little bit more on the touchy-feely side, and I'm much more like the business side of things. And Chad, obviously, when you see someone like what you guys have done, COVID, the world's falling apart, right? You don't know what's coming down the pipe. At the time, everyone was dying. Who knows? The next zombie apocalypse. What do we got going on? Right? And I love the fact that you guys were taking risks and taking chances. And this is a situation where you look back 2 years removed and you've created a business now that, potentially is that next launching point for your next and your next and your next, because the scalability of what you're doing, right? You're starting with one truck and you have the ability now to prove concept and move and go from there. So as you've learned this, your background seems to be, kind of diverse. Obviously you did the rock kind of thing. You did some of the business side of that. How did those backstories prepare you for where you are now?
Well, it's funny. I mean, even just the name of the truck, North of the Border Tacos, and the logo, I kind of stole from my band because it's North of Hollywood, right? And it's funny because my wife was laughing at me when we first opened it up, and the minute I opened up the door, it almost feels like you're on stage,
right?
You're performing. I'm over there making tacos, and my back is to most people, but you're doing something, and it just feels, especially when you're in it's a party environment. You're usually at festivals or you're doing in a fun place. Yeah. It does feel like being on stage, and it feels like being an entertainer of some sort. And also the creativity, same kind of creativity flow that I used to get jazzed about from being a musician. Right. It's the same thing. I have the same ability to be creative in the kitchen now, whereas I used to do it on a guitar.
Right. It's funny you say that. I have a very good friend of mine, and she had a food truck, same kind of situation. And if you're like self-described, she is an introvert, right? But then as soon as she's in there, she puts on this like extrovert, and she becomes bigger than life.
Right.
That opportunity to really ramp things up, and the persona that goes along with that.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it. It's that kind of rock star thing. But that couple that's walking, 30 feet away that sees that, and it's, hey, how are you? What's going on? How's your day going? And you're driving that conversation. They're willing to engage with that.
Right.
They're at the festival, they're at the party, they're at the whatever. And maybe they don't know everybody, but they can come over and talk with Chad and have a taco, and it's a conversation.
And it's Monica really that is running the front of house. I mean, if you can break down the food truck world, sure. Monica is our head of sales.
Right.
Because she's the one taking the orders, and we didn't know anything. I mean, I worked in restaurants. I was a bartender and I was a server, but I never worked in the back of house before. Yeah. I've been back there before. I wouldn't know how to turn on a fryer before I bought the truck. I had no idea. We had no idea what to charge for stuff. So the first month and a half was like huge leaps and bounds of just our learning curve was just through the roof. And I mean, we're still there. I mean, it doesn't seem like every single time we do something, we're learning, okay, we can do that better. How do we do this better? And really all it comes down to for me is to make sure that we keep our consistency and our standards at the front of mind. Right. So that every time we sell a taco, it's the same taste, Yeah. And if something doesn't look right, throw it in the garbage.
Right. So tell me a little bit about that. I'm going to call it the boot camp, right? That you end up in a situation where you're making your first taco and you're figuring, okay, fuck, what's it cost? How do I not go bankrupt?
Right.
Into doing this. So what did you lean on? Like, I know for myself, a lot of the tools that I've used throughout my career, first of all, was my education, because that's kind of where I focused my education on in the business world. But then after that, there's nobody to hold your hand.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Like YouTube is fantastic. There's so many resources out there right now. Can you give me a little guide on what kind of resources you jumped into and how you went from that first taco in your kitchen to, hey, I got a business?
Well, we've been thinking and dreaming about this for 5 years now.
I love that.
So for 5 years, we've been every single restaurant that I've gone to in 5 years. If they have tacos on the menu, I bought one. Yeah. I had that for dinner, and I wanted to see what other people were charging for tacos, right, and how much they were giving. And so Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew what every restaurant in London was selling tacos for because we've been to most of them.
Right.
You know, tacos on a food truck, you know, it's a little different. You know, you have a mobile professional kitchen coming to an event, so sometimes the prices are a little bit higher in a food truck because it is.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot more. I mean, I don't know what more cost, but there's a serious cost about having this thing and running it.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, I mean, I know that it's been. Some people sort of scoff at the prices sometimes, and I think at the beginning we maybe put our prices too high and we brought them down. And I think what we started at, and one thing that I learned was that I can't put on the menu how you want to eat tacos.
Right.
I have to allow you to choose how you want to have it. But also, if it's a huge event, I can't allow everybody to choose everything because then I'll never get anything out the window.
Mm.
So we started off selling our just the corn and flour tortilla tacos, or hard and soft shells, loaded, because that's the way I like them. But
Right.
then you'd get Monica with the machine with like no lettuce, no tomatoes, no onions, no sour cream, and there's like the thing is just going on and on, and really all you had to do is put cheese on it.
Yeah.
And so
It's for a kid.
Yeah, exactly. So we sort of dumbed it down, and so it starts off with lettuce, cheese, and taco sauce.
Yeah,
and that's it. And then if you want to add stuff, you can. But that was a pretty big moment for us when we figured that out, because we were selling them at the price of a loaded taco,
right?
And then we weren't. I think we were losing a lot of customers because some people just want 3 tacos for $12 with just lettuce, cheese, and taco sauce on it. See you later.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, if that's the way you like it, it's not how I want them, but I can't, I can't spend other people's money, and I also can't tell other people how to eat their tacos.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. You would turn people away if they see that you can only have this one way of doing it, because people are finicky, and they want what they want, especially now. It's like even more so now because we have all these fad diets and different things that, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. I'm sure they come to the window and go, "Hey, do you have anything without flour?" Yeah.
Well, yeah, we do, and we actually do. We have corn tortilla. Hard shell tacos are just corn. So or you can have nachos and salsa.
Yeah.
We can't cater to everybody. I mean, the thing is, I think that's the thing. What we've tried to do with our menu is keep it super simple. Like, not very many things on the menu. It's just nachos and tacos and taco salad. And that's
now, are you making your nachos too?
Yes.
Man, so you're literally pounding corn all day long.
No, I buy the corn. I buy the corn tortillas.
Yeah.
And then I cut them up, and then I deep fry them.
Yeah.
Right. So I made some today before the thing here.
Why are we not doing this live in London?
I don't know. I'm just thinking the same thing. Why are we not in the food truck?
I know.
It's just covered in.
And also, I also make my own salsas. And this one here, I don't know if you ever had salsa verde before.
Okay, yeah.
It's not your traditional salsa. It's made out of tomatillos instead of tomatoes, which are like a husk.
Okay, time out. Where are you sourcing this stuff in the days of inflation and prices running crazy? How are you able to find these products that otherwise are not off-the-shelf products at your local grocery store, per se?
You'd be surprised. I mean, you can find tomatillos.
Really?
I mean, not fresh tomatillos. So, I mean, we have to use canned tomatillos, to be honest, most of the time. Okay. If you get, there's such a rare. I haven't been able to find them. There's one grocery store that has them every now and again, but it's not worthwhile for me to be driving back and forth to see if they have them. So we use canned tomatillos, and a lot of people do.
Cool.
But I mean, it's just a different flavor than the regular salsa.
Absolutely, it's so much, like totally different than the just basic red. I'll call it red salsa. Right?
Yeah, and it's our hot one, so it's got it's the one salsa that I actually enjoy, because you have to make salsa for everybody.
Yes.
You got to kind of tone it down so that you don't,
Yeah.
Because almost everybody wants mild.
Right.
There's only very few of us who like it hot. And so it's very unfortunate that I don't like the mild, because I have to make it, and I'm like, I don't even really like making this. Don't really want to put my name on it, but there's so many people that want it that.
There's a restaurant in Peterborough that makes wraps, and they have a hot sauce, and so they list it as mild, hotter, suicidal.
Right.
But it's the same sauce. All they do is put more.
Right.
So you're still like mild. It still burns your mouth. Delicious.
Oh, really?
Like those kind of flavors. It's not like hot burn your mouth. It's hot, good flavor.
Mm-hmm. I don't like ridiculously hot either. I mean, I like it to have a bite, but I don't want to like sweat I don't want to be sitting there sweating while I eat. So
this stuff that James is talking about, you can just feel your eyebrows melt, and it's yeah, you can see the chef in the back when you're like, oh yeah, I don't mind a little heat. And he's like, but I think it's an Egyptian thing that they do, right? So these guys, sure, and I don't mind a little spice, but yeah, some of these guys get a little carried away at times. So.
Yeah, it's hard to. I find it every batch that I make is a little bit different because every box of jalapenos that I buy, they're not the same heat level. I mean, not all jalapenos are the same heat, and I use other hot peppers in the salsa verde, which add a little bit more of a kick than a jalapeno. So
from a business perspective, and again, I love this stuff. I love this type of conversation. So again, Chad, thank you for joining us. I think this is
thanks for having me.
So like Chad, when you started this dream, going back 5 years ago, and you start, looking at prices and you start looking at all this sort of thing, and then you look at the world that we've went through in the last 2 years. And the reason why I bring this up, and a lot of the profiteers, we had the CPI, which is the consumer price index that came out today. And we're talking about inflation and the inflation of prices and the craziness of the supply chain that we're having right now. And you've probably seen over the last 5 or 6 months as you're developing this business, you're continually moving your goalpost of pricing, trying to catch up with sometimes artificially, sometimes purposefully increased pricing. How as a small business owner, how is that affecting you guys right now?
Well, it's affecting us definitely. I mean, when we first bought our first 16-liter jugs of oil for the fryers for the very first truck that we had, and it was $17 for 16 liters. It's $56 now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think a lot of people,
bananas.
I don't think a lot of people understand that, because when you go like McDonald's, even you go to McDonald's and to feed a family now, you're $50-$60 and you're looking around like, what am I eating?
Right.
Like, I know it's shit. I know it's
that's right.
It's just $60 to go through the drive-through. I have one, large-ish bag of garbage that I'm not putting in front of my family for $60.
Mm-hmm.
And as a small business, I could only imagine trying to figure out your fixed costs, your variable costs as they're incurring, gas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for you guys to be driving around doing these shows, I'm sure that thing doesn't run on, fresh dreams and, sweet aspirations.
And I would imagine
no, it doesn't. It's got a big gas guzzling V8, so it's yeah. It was crazy expensive to. We bought it in Ottawa, and I drove right by you guys on my way home. On the one, or how we came down Highway 6 or whatever from Ottawa.
So 7 probably, and
down 7, and then down 115/35.
Yep.
In the middle, of course, between Bowmanville and Peterborough, it was a giant snowstorm.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
right. With an empty cube truck like this with no weight in the back, and can't see the highway, and all I'm thinking is like, this is my dream. I can't wreck this now. Let me at least get this thing home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think the stretch road you're talking about, Pat has been in 2 accidents there.
Yes. Oh, I think there has been. Yeah, a whole bunch.
Yeah,
I've actually been in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had one there was about a 250 car pileup. This is going back about 5 years ago, and myself and my daughter right there at the 115/401, flash whiteout. We just were looking around, waiting to see who and what was coming at us. It was pretty scary moments, but that little stretch there, know it well, and that truck of yours, you're lucky you got it down there. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot better with all the weight in it now, but we are winding down our season. Like we're gonna pack it up after the Vanier Cup.
Right. So tell me about that. So Vanier Cup, there's a couple different things. So I was a football player growing up. So you have the Vanier Cup. You also have the Metro Bowl that goes along with that, correct? Do they still partner that together? The high school?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe. It's possible.
So they used to do that when they used to have it at the Rogers Center. Is it still
right?
What they call it now? Is it the Rogers Center?
No.
The Sky Dome is still the Rogers Center, right?
I think so.
They name change all these things.
I just call it Sky Dome. That's where.
Right. That's how I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to. So the Vanier Cup used to be played there more often than not. And right before that, they used to have scout combines for all of the high school kids going off for universities. They'd have the Metro Bowl, so all the kids that were, within the GTA would play their final high schools for like OFSA and all of those sorts of things. And then they would have the Vanier Cup and the what else? There was another one that they had. There was like a Western Ontario or a Western thing that would come in as well. And there was like 5 or 6 really high profile football games, and that's where. They're not doing it at that building anymore, though, are they?
No, I mean, this is being done at the University of Western Ontario.
Right.
Okay.
That's how we got into it, because we belong to a food truck association here in London called Loft, London, Ontario Food Trucks.
Cool.
And great group of people who have helped us out immensely. One of our good friends, Tracy and Liam, they own a fish and chip truck here in town. They got us into it. And basically what it is if people, companies and, places that would like to have food trucks come, they call Loft rather than calling every individual food truck. And then you guys at Loft just post it online for us and say who wants to do this. And, sometimes it's a lottery to see who gets the stuff. And then that was a lottery for the Vanier Cup. And so we got picked for it somehow, which was fun. It's going to be
touched on my next question that I wanted to ask you. I'm all about having mentors. Like anytime that I have a goal, I search for the people that have achieved that goal or on their way to that goal and stuff like that. So what kind of mentors did you lean on while you were building this empire of the taco empire? Because like it sounds like Loft, there's definitely got to be mentors.
Brannigan's Fish and Chips, Tracy and Liam have basically from the moment when our truck was finished, basically got us our first 3 or 4 gigs. Okay. Oh, wow. It's on the road. Fantastic. Here you go. Got on the phone and she lined us up at this place called Broken Rail Brewery up in St. Mary's.
Yep.
And amazing little pub, has fantastic beer. And it's an old train station that he converted into a pub, and he brews his own beer there. Thomas Edison used to work there. And his desk is still there, and he got fired from this job at the train station because he fell asleep. And he was supposed to be like the guy on the radio telling the trains to, whatever. And he fell asleep, and the trains almost collided. And they fired him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a great story.
Awesome. Yeah. But, even Jesus screwed.
Yeah. Very fun. I mean, it's such a fun place, and that's what we're excited to go and help out places like that, because they're a small business too. And they're just happy that we come there. And then it's in this little community, and everybody from the community will just come down to the pub, and they have like park benches out. And sometimes they're not even going and have a beer. They're just coming to get some food. But the guy that owns the pub, him and his wife, they don't mind. They just want to be a part of the community, which is kind of cool.
Right. That's very cool. I noticed that on your website there when I was going through it myself, that it's where you can find our truck. Do you guys have a following? Like I know there was a food truck, I think it was in Barrie, that my friends really liked. And that's what they did. Wherever this truck popped up, they showed up to it. Are you starting to get that following that there's a group of people that are like, oh man, I'm going here because of the food truck?
We have some people, we just started. Obviously we have our friends who, some friends that show up almost every time, that just, Chris and Amber love our tacos, and pretty much you can count on seeing them for a couple of tacos every time we're somewhere close anyways.
Are they still called groupies? How does that work?
I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll have to come up with a term for them.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's fun. We're starting to see, familiar faces,
Right.
Which is kind of neat. And I'm sure that I'll just sort of, it'll grow as we grow, right?
Absolutely.
Just
So when
sort
you do a venue, what are the costs of that? Like you can't just show up. Obviously, you have to pay to be there, right? Like even the Vanier Cup, it's not like they pay you to show up.
No, it's it really varies. It depends. Some places are just, can you just come here and sell?
Okay.
And then some places are like, if it's a charity event, usually it's 10% of sales, and that's like sort of going rate.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know that, like, if you go to the Western Fair, which we haven't gone,
right,
primarily because it's 25%.
Ooh.
Right.
Western Fair,
it's kind of a huge kickback to, but it's also, I also have to weigh that against how many people you have access to.
Sure.
Yeah. So Western Fair, I used to do a lot of business down there. My father and I, we used to have a tack business, a wholesale tack business for like the equestrian world.
Mm-hmm.
We were down in London all the time, and they would have thousands and thousands and thousands of people roll through that agriplex.
Yeah.
Which here we are in Peterborough, Ontario. We were begging and pleading for Peterborough to do something like Western Fair in this area. And we had the track, we have Kawartha Downs here locally.
Right.
We have, a hockey community. We have all those sorts of things. We have a plot of land that up until about 4 months ago was designated as an agricultural use only right downtown Peterborough. And they would not do it. And we never understood it, because that agriplex down in London is something to be admired. It is super cool, brings a shit ton of money into that community. And obviously it sounds like, they're a little bit heavy on their kickback side, but that's a situation where you're getting a huge amount of people running through that building every weekend.
I think that's what they count on, right? I mean, I guess if you're going to be in there, you're guaranteed to have, say 10,000 people walking by you. And I mean, I think that maybe as we get, as we go on and we have maybe a more padding in our bank account, then maybe we can start making decisions like that. But for the beginning of our run here, we haven't gone after the ones that are super expensive, just because, we just bought the truck and we need to make some money.
Right.
So I'm not sure why in Peterborough we don't have food trucks. Like our food trucks have to be outside of Peterborough. I don't know if it's a law or something like that. Have you run against that anywhere?
London's really, really, really progressive when it comes to food trucks. It's one of the premier cities for food trucks, I think. About 8 or 9 years ago, a group of people who are actually who are part of Loft, a couple of the guys from Loft, I think, were part of this community, who said, hey, come on. Well, I think restaurant owners at first were the ones that got up in arms about having food trucks, because, they thought that it was taking away their business and blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, I don't really think that really stands up. People want to go sit down and have a meal, are going to go sit down and have a meal. If they have laws right now where we're not allowed to park within 100 meters of a restaurant.
Okay.
See, that seems valid to me even.
Yeah.
If that guy's paying rent, he's doing his thing. Let him have his thing.
Yeah.
You can't pull up in front of him and be like, I get that.
Yeah, I can't pull up in front of a taco restaurant and sell taco.
Yeah,
right?
Just waving your finger at the window,
just drop my price by 50 cents per taco and take their business away, right? No, I mean, that would not be fair.
And like James was saying, our community here, and in a lot of ways, we're a very retirement-based community. Yeah. So taking chances on new opportunities and new business has not been our forte in this community. No. And that's kind of, we interviewed Jeff Leal here about 5 weeks ago, just before the municipal elections. And he ended up winning the election for mayor here in our community. Great guy, lovely guy, all these sorts of things. However, he's kind of old establishment in our area. So we're kind of waiting to see what changes, what doesn't change, what the old guard continues to make old guard.
Right.
And, because like everywhere, we've got a lot of problems. The homelessness, the vagrancy, the poverty. the poverty around right now is wild to look at. And how does something like what you're doing maybe give job opportunities even for people that this is small business. You're supposed to embrace this stuff, not squash it, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised and somewhat saddened by that, because Monica and I have been looking at Peterborough, or at least somewhere in that neighborhood. Is a place that we'd like to eventually, to.
So the Durham region is very open for business.
Yeah.
As far as the food truck industry. And I don't know, maybe this is something that's coming down the pipe now. Peterborough, we're about 10 years behind everybody, it seems. Maybe over the next little while, we can.
So we do have a few food trucks. We have spaces. We have like spaces in Peterborough that sit on, and you have to but they're outside of our community. None of them are in town. And
are you talking about like the chip trucks?
Yeah,
like in Trent.
3 of them. Someone came in and undercut everybody and took over 3 of them and built like these cabins, and they're not great. They're not like interesting or exciting or anything. And then we have a couple of other trucks, but there's nothing like downtown after the bar going to get a taco or anything.
Right. We're not doing that either, though. I mean, really. I mean, I suppose if if I wanted to hire somebody else to do it, then they could do that. I don't have any interest in being downtown London at 2:30 in the morning when the guys get out of the bar. And no, it's just not. I don't. Maybe I'm just too old for that now. I'd go rather do lunch somewhere and then maybe dinner. But,
it's also a safety thing. Like,
I mean,
Chad, like you said, you were on the.
I was in university once, and I don't know that I'd want a bunch of people like me being around my food truck.
But I also go to the level of violence that we see, the increase in violence. Is that even like, I'm 36 years old, like I'm not an old guy by any means, but if you got in a fight downtown when you were a young man, it was a fight. You got in a fight downtown. It didn't end up with like 9 people stabbed.
Right.
Like the level of violence is changing. Drugs,
Yeah, I think it has something to do with what the drugs are.
Right.
In the community, and we see a lot of that in London. It's brutal. I mean, my wife's business has been vandalized once a week for the last 4 months. And nobody does anything about it. So I mean, it's horrible. And she's. You would think that where her business is, that it would be decent, but it's just not. It's just crazy. And it is because of the crystal meth and because of the crack and these things, and it's just. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I never saw that in Peterborough because growing up, I used to go to Peterborough a lot because my best friends are from Peterborough.
Yep.
So I spent a lot of time downtown Peterborough when I was in my 20s.
Yep.
And I don't remember seeing anything like what I've heard it is like now downtown Peterborough. And I'm sure it's the same that you see here in downtown London.
Yeah. But that's the unfortunate part about it, is that's the 2 sides of the street, right? Is that when you have that criminal element at that time of day, you got an entrepreneur like yourself that goes, it's not worth it.
Too risky. It's too risky. And then I mean, we had just one incident with a guy who was, a homeless guy, and I gotta have compassion for the guy, but I also, Monica is sitting there with the money, and he's asking for food or something, and it's just like, no, I don't like this, and it's not comfortable, and I don't really want to put myself or my wife in a position where we have to play,
food bank.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't
I don't want to have to hire a bouncer to come to my food truck to make sure nobody robs us or something, right? So we'll stay away from that kind of scenes, and we really enjoy the events that we've been doing, and we'll continue on those paths that are more organized and how many people are going to be there, and how much food to buy. That's really the main thing too, right? If you know that there's going to be 700 people, you know how much food you should have, and you can kind of base that. But if you just go sit downtown somewhere, how much food do you take?
That's it.
Yeah, you could have a really good day and sell out, or you can have a bad day, and those 700 tacos are going in the garbage.
Right.
So, yeah. So that would be also a learning curve, like to know because I know I was a cook in a kitchen for many years, and that was how we spent our mornings, is prepping for what the night would look like. And it was all guesswork. Like, we would cut up tacos like you do and deep fry them and get the nachos ready and get the noodles pre-blanched and all that stuff, everything ready for it. And then there was days that we sold out and we're like, oh man, we should have made like 18 more bags of tacos. Right. And then there's other times where it's like, okay, well, the dumpster's going to be full of tacos, like.
Yeah, I'm just going to eat a whole bunch of nachos for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
What's for breakfast? Right. Nachos. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Lunch?
Yeah.
Nachos.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite festival that you've done so far, or event, and why?
Well, there's been a couple, but we had a really, really good event when we went up to, and actually Jason was talking about this event last Thursday. We went to the Concours d'Elegance up in on Sound. On the first day that we were open, we went to go down to this little park down Riverside in Wonderland, where there's like an area there that food trucks can park. And my neighbor about 5 doors down stopped me and said, how long are you going to be there for? And I said, I don't know, probably till 5 or 6. Well, I got 12 people coming over. Can you feed us dinner after? And I was like, sure. Yeah, we'll do that. We had a better day at the neighbor's place than we did down on Riverside, because it was so fun with 12 people and they were so excited. And one person worked for Western and wanted us to come to Western. And then another person worked for the Concours d'Elegance and got us into that. And so it was it was the best day ever, especially the first day. It was just so fun and exciting to see that kind of, how excited other people were. They were as excited as I was, which was crazy. Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When you get someone that buys into your pet project or your passion and has that same level, that's pretty neat, right?
Yeah. I mean, I met them. We don't know that many people on our street. We know our neighbors around here. Yep. But I was in the truck every day making salsa or making nachos. I'd see people walking by and I'd just run out and say, hey, want to try some nachos and salsa?
Yep.
Right. And I did that to them. I was like, here, take some nachos and salsa home. Right. And then that transpired into them asking if we would come and do their dinner party.
That's great.
Right? It just transpired to us going to Concours d'Elegance, and it was just Monica and I. We tried to get somebody to come help us for that weekend, for that thing, but we couldn't get anybody.
Right.
We had a lineup from 11 o'clock in the morning until we ran out of food at 4:30.
Wow.
My head didn't come up. I was making tacos and throwing them out the window. Like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Right.
So busy, but it was awesome.
So now with the connection to the auto show in Toronto, do you guys see yourself making your way that way in around February-ish? Have you had a conversation with Jason about
I don't know how that would work. I imagine they've probably got that kind of stuff already booked with somebody, I imagine they have some kind of a plan or a deal with somebody to do that kind of stuff. If it wasn't, I imagine my brother would have already mentioned it to me. Right. And so I don't know. I haven't really pushed him in. Quite frankly, when we started, we didn't know how good we were going to be at it. And so we maybe we'll wait until next season we're getting better at it, but we were bugging my buddy Doug, who is the chief financial officer of TIFF, and I went up to his cottage.
Wow!
I did a wedding up there at Doug's cottage, and it was our first event other than our first event outside of the city, and we went up there. It was up in on Jack Lake or somewhere. Yeah, I think it's Jack Lake.
Okay, yeah.
And we're like, so when do we get into TIFF?
Yeah.
You are the official taco of TIFF. That's what you get.
I think you need to maybe get a little bit of experience first. So
right.
That's not a no
for that.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, I love that. And do you know what? It's one of those things in any business. Your net worth is as good as your network, right? Like who's around you, that ability to be able to communicate and have those dialogue. You know what? As fancy as TIFF is, to have some sort of cool little thing where you are the official taco of TIFF.
Cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I don't know that we're there yet, but we
amazing though. That would be super
How
cool.
did you
Right?
get like Ryan Gosling, like picture of him with eating your taco in front of
Well,
your
that's
And none of it on his shirt. Not on his shirt at all. None of it on his shirt.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, didn't break it in a million pieces.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
That
the
would be
main thing.
awesome.
No, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So the truck that you have, how far will you go? Like, did you like do events far away, or you just do around London?
We've done, obviously we went to Jack Lake. That was a long haul.
Yeah.
I don't really want to do stuff that far away, but it was for a really good friend's wedding.
Right.
So we did that. Concourse d'Elegance is a long ways away, but it's kind of a cool event. So I mean, for the right event, we'll go somewhere.
Right.
But I mean, it's better for us to stay close because of $1.75 gas prices.
Yeah.
The thing guzzles the gas, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not exactly the most aerodynamic machine on the planet, and it weighs a lot, and so yeah.
So the farther afield, the more your profits get eaten.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, for the right event, it's obviously worthwhile.
Yeah. What kind of insurance do you have to have? Do you have to have like obviously contents in the vehicle, but you're a business. So what kind of business insurance?
You have to have liability like insurance too for, if anybody ever got sick or something. I mean, we have a couple $1 million in insurance. I'm sure I can't remember what it was, but it's my wife is in charge of being in charge. And she knows all the answers to these questions.
She's watching. Be careful. I'm just saying.
She's being in charge, and she knows all the answers to these questions. I don't really know, but I can ask her.
I love it. No,
well, we'll have to have her on so we can find out those answers.
Yeah.
Well, where do you see the next? In every business plan, you kind of lay out the next steps. What's your kind of like 1 year, 3 year, 5 year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Running the taco empire? What does that look like for you guys?
I would really like to try to figure out a way to mass produce these shells.
Yeah,
I think that's the other route. That I think that if we could, I have a buddy of mine that I met when I was living in California. He actually designs equipment for food food processing equipment, right? And so I just sort of out of the blue called him and said, well, what would it cost to get a machine to manufacture all of my taco shells? And he's like, yeah, that'd be about $200,000.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
not this year.
A lot of money. It's 7,000 taco shells a day.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you could freeze, package them, send them out, sell them to, whoever wants to buy taco shells, like restaurants. I mean, that's where I would like to go with it, and maybe have a fleet of trucks.
Right.
But, I mean, those are huge goals, but I mean, I don't think that it hurts anybody to dream big.
Do you think you'd ever end up in brick and mortar, or is it food truck? That's it. That's where you see yourself.
I really do actually think that I would like something like that. I don't know where though. It would have to be where I'm living. Right. I think we're kind of up in the air about where we're going to be over the next 5 years. So we'll find a place to settle down maybe, and then we'll figure that out. I think
that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking back at like the mass production aspect. So I'm going to spitball with you a little bit, and you tell me as much as you want to tell me, and the rest of it, you go top secret, sir. And I can put it. So when I go and buy those old El Paso cardboard shells, and they've got that package in them that is to keep them from breaking. Mm-hmm. It looks like yours has a little bit more flex and is a little bit more fun and is able to do that. Now, your shells, shelf life on something like that, is there a way of getting them to the old El Paso level where they're in a box at the grocery store?
I'll show you something.
So, I knew it. I love this. He's already.
He's already on it.
What we have here.
Any second now, Monica's going to come running in.
No, this you can buy this at every store, right? And this is a taco mold.
Okay.
Yeah, taco mold. So that's you put the corn tortillas in these molds and then drop it in the deep fryer for a certain amount of time, and then it makes the same. Those ones you buy out of the box, that's what it makes.
Okay.
Right. because they start off as like as a 1 second here. Sorry, guys.
We're gonna talk.
No worries.
The corn shells start off as soft, right? They're soft to begin with, and then when you deep fry them, they become hard.
Yeah.
So and then my handcrafted shells. There's actually like 2 processes to making them. They start off as like a pancake batter.
Okay.
And then you make the tortillas on a flat grill.
Yeah.
And then you take that and then you put it in the mold and then you deep fry it.
Okay. So now from a business perspective, I'm gonna just first thing comes to mind. You've got a very labor intensive process you're putting together.
Yeah.
How are you able to streamline, short of machinery? How are you able to streamline without losing quality of your product to a process where it's not hand every product? Is there a way of, with short of the $200,000 machine, is there a way to do that without losing that quality? I guess that's what you guys are in the process of trying to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, I think really what we're going to have to do is just maybe have somebody off-site doing, if you wanted to really do them at scale, right, you'd have to have 6 people working 8 hours a day making the first step and then freezing them, because if you have the shell made into a tortilla before you form it and deep fry it, you can freeze those.
Okay.
And you can't tell the difference.
So
I could make one today and then I could freeze one, pull it out and let it thaw and then put it in the mold, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the frozen one and the one that wasn't frozen.
Okay.
Right.
So the product once fried, what type of shelf life does it have on it until it gets useless?
No, like
instant.
Half an hour.
Right.
20 minutes. So it's like these are made to order. The handcrafted ones are made to order. You have to make them to order. It's not that they're no good. They're just not as good, and you don't want to. I mean, they're pretty special when they're
right. So
done right.
Campbell's soup. I go back to Campbell's. Here we are with the last name. Campbell's soup didn't invent soup, right? No. They invented the process of doing it in 5 minutes on your stove.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys have something that's really cool there. How do you break that down into a mechanism that is easily accessible at home? Now, obviously, you've got the old El Paso, we'll call them the cartels of the taco business that you're up against. But trying to figure out how to take, again, I will not eat a hard shell taco because it's just shit everywhere.
Right.
It sounds like you guys have solved that in person. Now, what does it take? What about it? A higher gluten flour? Does it give it more elasticity longer? Like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that you need a deep fryer.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of having them at home
is hard.
Not many people are going to be able to do that, but more of who our market would be to other restaurants. Yeah. I think that would be, more manageable. Maybe down the road, figure out a way. I mean, a lot of people have air fryers. I haven't tried that. Yeah. Maybe they can be made in an air fryer and they'd be decent. I'm not sure. We've been busy with other things, and this winter really? We'll look into that and see how it works, right?
Yeah. No, you can play around.
You just nailed something there, man. That air fryer type thought, because those were the hottest thing in health over COVID. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody and their brother went out and bought an air fryer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we bought one and I love it.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. The Ninja.
That's super cool. I love that. You might have something there. You might have a new opportunity.
Never tasted. I think, like if you could put one of those like formers that would fit into an air fryer that came with it, you'd probably be into something. Yeah, maybe. I know I don't mind prepping food, like especially if it's a simple prep, and to have tacos that don't break up all. Like I'm the same with the Pat. Like I just completely stopped buying those kind of tacos because you might as well just get nachos because that's what you end up with.
Yeah, you have two bites and the rest of it's on the plate or on your shirt.
Yeah,
right.
And it's just terrible. But it sounds like I can hop in the car with yours and I can drive down the road, and that I like that. I like being able to cruise down the road eating tacos sometimes.
Singing like cucaracha.
Revolutionary, Chad. You know what? I think we've had a great conversation. You're just as enjoyable as your brother, as your smooth voice father. You're quite the entrepreneurial family. All of you have had like just wonderful life stories, and you're no different. And you know what? I so appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you
thanks
have
so
a
much
job,
for having
you're doing the food truck, you have a family, you know, like there's a lot going on. You took the time to sit down, and I so appreciate that, man. But now we're going to be mean to you. And so you watched your dad, so you might know what's about to happen. But we have like a phrase that we say, like kind of our motto at the end of these things.
Okay.
So I'm going to go first, and I'm going to do a little goodbye, and then I'm going to end with my motto. And then Pat will do his, and then he'll end with his motto. And then you can do whatever, you can say whatever you want, and then end with, I don't know, whatever motto you come up with. Okay.
All right.
So Chad, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. I look forward to sitting right beside you there and eating some of that great food. Like I'm with Pat. I don't know what thought process brought us to virtual here when we could be eating toast. I think we've really failed ourselves here, and I'm sorry. But if you guys are in the London area, check out his website. Probably you're going to have to wait now till April. Would it be?
What's
Chad?
that?
When do you think you'll be up and running again, moving around?
Well, we'll be starting up again in the new year in probably March or April.
Yeah, so in March or April, check out Chad's website there. It's right there, notbtacos.com. It has all the information you need about the business, and it sounds like you might even be able to convince them to do a wedding if you're like close to the London area, which is it's pretty fun. I went to a wedding just recently, my godson's, and they had a food truck there. And it just added this whole other element that was fun and exciting and enjoyable. And, you should try it out. Anyway, Chad, thank you so much for joining us and chatting with us. Next week, for some reason, I can't remember who we have, but we have another interesting person. Soaring Profits has a lot of ideas coming in the works. I'm going to be excited to tell you. Pat and I are working through some creative, interesting ideas that we're going to be telling you in a week or two here. We just have to sit down.
And if his internet works, it's even better.
If my internet, did it stop?
Yeah, I don't know what you said. You said interesting ideas, and then you went.
Oh, yeah. So I was saying Pat and I have been sitting down, kind of wrapping our brains around two new, like, creative, interesting ideas that we're going to launch very soon. We just have to sit down with our mentors who know what we're trying to get into here, and then we'll launch it and let you guys know what we're about to do. But I'm excited about it. So stay tuned, check us out, keep looking at our videos, and I love you guys. And every day, just like Chad here, if adversity hits, keep on pushing through. There is a way to get around every problem that occurs to you, unless you give up. Once you give up, you're done. There's no point if you can't just keep going. And I'm telling you right now, if you have a goal and you keep going, you'll reach it. I'm proof. Chad's proof. Pat's proof. Let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together.
Chad, thanks again, pal. I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, we need to get like aunts, uncles, and cousins, like I was saying at the beginning, the Campbell family. We love having you guys on here, and it's been a blast again. Yeah, for the profiteers out there, the last couple of days have been a little crazy in the stock market. If you guys have been following, obviously we had the inflation reports come out today that were just crazy. The market's up 15-20% today. So it's been kind of a wild 24 hours. My 2-second little spiel here is that we are not out of the woods yet, though. So kind of keep your head on a swivel right now. You got to be able to watch this both ways. When you get a day like today, take money off the table. So you have that opportunity, get in, get out, and then enjoy your weekend, as opposed to sitting there with your money in the line going, what the fuck do I do now? So, Chad, again, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. As always, let's make some money together, folks. And now this is where we stick you, Chad. Words of inspiration for the crew here.
Oh, well, I just really want to thank you guys for having me on. It's been a really fun, interesting chat, and I look forward to bringing the truck up to Peterborough and feeding you guys one day. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say other than we'll taco to you later.